Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 3. We are in the middle of our epic 71-day journey, and we will be going through the states of Missouri onto our first family visit in Indiana, our second family visit in Illinois. That's about as far as we got on this one till we get to your hometown. But
Yeah.
you're also going to cover some things too.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about the different types of campgrounds that we like to stay in,
Mm-hmm.
the pluses, the minuses, and we're going to talk about my hometown of Galena, Illinois, and we're going to talk about some of the technology that we have on board to help us stay connected.
Okay. So here we go. The campground has a really pretty lake, and it was the view from our assigned spot, so this was peaceful. There were a lot of long term folks up here near the office, but the short term sites were good sized. There is a small pool as well. We even had a neighbor's cat adopt us for our short stay here, so that was fun. Well, the view is beautiful from this campground. The highway noise is right. And it's pretty loud all night long.
Yeah, that was a really noisy campground. We should have taken the reviews that we read a little bit more seriously. I think we're going to do that next time.
Yeah, and like I said, we do stay at a lot of campgrounds that are right off the highway, and this one was just exceptionally loud. We used to have a pretty loud fan that we would hook up, and it died. And the fan that we bought, it's just nowhere near as loud. So I know there are apps, there's other things that we could do to make to sound that would help kind of drown that out. But lesson learned, pay attention to that.
Yeah. But we did notice that there was a state park near where we were staying called Ha Ha Tonka State Park. We read some reviews. They were good. We noticed that a lot of people were talking about the castle ruins that were at the park, so we decided to take a drive.
Yeah. The park didn't charge any admission fee, so that was cool. There were different parking areas. They had a pit bathroom as well. The path was paved up to the castle, so this was an easy and pretty walk up the hill. The story of the castle goes like this. In the early 1900s, a man named Robert McClure Snyder bought 5,000 acres of land to build his dream castle. But a year into the build, he was killed in a car accident, so it sat unfinished for over 15 years. His sons did end up picking up the task and finished it in 1922. However, it was destroyed by fire in 1942. There was yet another fire in 1976 that damaged the water tower, and all that remains are what you see here. There are pictures of what the interior rooms look like, so it's interesting to see what the place was in its glory days. The views must have been absolutely incredible. They've done a good job explaining how the materials were sourced, and they even used donkeys to bring materials up to the top construction site. If you take the trail beyond the castle, you will end up at a lookout point that gives you beautiful views of Lake of the Ozarks too. I know people spend a lot of time exploring these lakes, so this is definitely worth a return trip. Lastly, we began a trail down the lake for a quick hike. We didn't pass a single other person on the trail, so it was super peaceful. To my bird nerds, here is a screenshot of the different birds we heard along the way. We were blessed with absolutely beautiful weather today too.
I wanted to take a minute and highlight a specific brand of campground that might be of interest, and that's KOA, or Campground of America. If you have kids traveling with you, this is a must-know about for sure. But we also stay in them out of convenience and because we're familiar with the brand. They have over 500 locations across the US and Canada. It's a family-friendly environment with lots of things to do. There are 3 different types of KOAs. A Journey. These are meant primarily for quick overnight stops with easy access and pull-through sites. The Holiday. These are meant for longer stays and have upgraded amenities like pools and playgrounds, etc. Resorts. These are vacation destinations with resort-style features like restaurants, lakes, resort-style pools, and planned events. This KOA we're showing you here is by St. Louis Six Flags and is a Holiday. They had kids' bounce pads, a pool, playground, tent area, cabins, and even tiny homes that you can rent. So if you don't have a camper, there's an option for you. It's just a few minutes drives from Six Flags. so there were lots of folks camping in the evening and enjoying the park during the day. There's even a farm next door with some nice looking horses.
So we are in Casey, Illinois, and we had no idea what this place is, but they have like the world's largest everything. Thanks for playing along. This is the world's largest bird cage. Made you do it. And this here is the world's largest pencil, and then the world's largest rocking chair, the world's largest wind chime, and then this is the world's largest teeter-totter. If you can see that, it is a person is monitoring all the folks going back and forth here, and they're only going to let a few of you on at a time because the thing honestly looked really heavy and slightly off kilter to us. But it's the world's largest teeter-totter. Here's the world's largest mailbox. And then we went out to the golf course because they said they had the world's largest golf tee. There you go.
Tee it high and let it fly.
So we stayed nearby in another KOA campground, and this one was a journey. As you can see, it's beautiful, calm, peaceful place. It was right off the highway. We had a gorgeous sunset tonight and relaxed. So on this particular trip, as we have mentioned a couple times, we're anchored with several family events and places we need to be in certain times, and we find it just awesome to be able to visit our kids and grandkids along the way. But one of the things to mention is, unless you're dealing with a really high-end RV manufacturer, there tends to be limitations on the quality of the interior. And we'll use the example of our dinette table. The manufacturers are mostly concerned about weight more than they are durability.
Yeah, so it was made of pressboard with a very paper thin veneer over top of it, and after time the veneer was peeling off and it looked terrible. So we decided our son-in-law is an excellent woodworking person, so we put him to a task of making us a new table. We went to Home Depot, we bought some butcher block, could have been a countertop, but we used it for a table. We cut it to size, he sanded the table, routed the edges, and we put some polyurethane on it, and now we have a great looking table.
It's beautiful, yeah. So very blessed to have talent in the family. Also, our granddaughters, they love to pick strawberries, so they ended up making strawberry jam, and as well as my daughter is working on her sourdough bread making capability, and boy, she made us a beautiful loaf that we were able to take home with us. So again, very blessed to be able to sprinkle some family visits in here and be able to see the kids and the grandkids and get a little upgrade along the way. We would be having our first family reunion. We stayed at Seven Eagles RV Park, which is near the Mississippi River. It's a pretty park, and as you can see, most of the people here are seasonal or long-term residents. It's really peaceful out here. This is a nature lover's dream. Definitely bring your bikes and your hiking shoes. I couldn't believe all the turtles and frogs that were here, but I guess it's not surprising since it's quite swampy. They were kind of fun to watch. As we were visiting Galena, Illinois over the next few days, we opted to stay in Keiler, Wisconsin, which is about 15 minutes drive into town. There is a campground right on the outskirts of Galena, but we've stayed there before. The sites are super tight and the roads weren't well graveled, so when it rained it was just an absolute muddy mess, and this campground was suggested as a much better alternative. It was so peaceful here, as you can see. They have a chapel for quiet meditation, lots of green space, a playground, and they're right next to a farm. They even have little calves this time of year who they kind of found us interesting. We also had a beautiful, gorgeous sunset to end our first evening here.
Our next stop was Galena, Illinois. Galena is a pretty cool town. I grew up there. I want to tell you a little bit about the town and a little bit about what the average tourist might not know. But first, a little bit of history.
Galena started out as a lead mining town, and it was also a steamboat hub. It was the home of several Civil War generals, including Ulysses S. Grant. But the decline of the steamboats, the rise of the railroads, kind of left Galena behind.
One of our favorite spots to visit in Galena is Grants Park, which is just on the other side of the river from downtown. Most people just head into town, but do yourself a favor and wander over the walking bridge to the park and check it out. The views are awesome, plenty of benches to sit in, shade to relax, and enjoy the river. There's plenty of green space to spread out and play. It's usually quiet and relaxing here. A really nice gazebo, several historic cannons, there's a statue of Grant, there's a nice fountain you can sit by and relax. There's even a picnic shelter. We had many celebrations of school events in this shelter, so it brings back a lot of good memories for me. The city does a really nice job of taking care of this park. Leah really enjoyed the smell of the lilacs as we walked through this little arbor. Up the hill from the park is Grant's home, which is now a museum, so be sure and take a little time and check it out. Then take a walk along Park Avenue, and you'll find some homes out there that are gorgeous with tons of history, a lot of really interesting architecture. A great food recommendation, try out Otto's. My sister really loves this place. It's just down the hill from the park, so you can grab something to go and go back to the park and enjoy your food. Next up, we'll head downtown. It does get a bit crowded there sometimes, but it's worth the trip. When I was in 3rd grade, I lived in this house in the middle. My brother and I tried to close the floodgates one day. We had it partially closed due to a lever that used to be there that's no longer there. Anyway, my mom saw what we were doing and she soon put a stop to it. The DeSoto House Hotel is a really nice hotel. If you can stay there, I would definitely do it. It opened up in 1855 and was once the biggest and largest hotel in the West. Abraham Lincoln gave a campaign speech from the balcony here in 1856. Ulysses Grant used this hotel as his presidential campaign headquarters after the Civil War. If you're a history buff, this is a great place to stay. As you walk down Main Street, you'll find a lot of great shops. One of my favorites is Poopsie's. You can find some great unique gifts there. There's a restaurant we like to go to called Vinnie Venucci's. It's a great Italian. You can buy popcorn, you can buy coffee. There's some great bars. It's a real cool place to just stroll and spend the day. My dad used to own the local pharmacy here downtown, so I spent a lot of time walking these streets. I worked in a drugstore since I was in about 7th grade. Right now it's the Galena Canning Company, and there's a plaque out front that says the former home of Klingman Pharmacy.
So, in our What's Cooking segment, I'm going to share 2 things today. The first is one of Doug's favorite, which is air fried chicken thighs. And the second is I had fresh canned peaches from my daughter Megan. So, when we had our family reunion, I made a peach crumble, which is my sister's recipe. All right, so welcome to our gotchas and learnings. And this one, we've got 3 today that we're going to share. The first being a situation we had towing the car. Another day here at the KOA outside of St. Louis. How's it going, dear?
Well, I think I might have found the problem. We had a problem with the tow car. The left turn signal wasn't working, and the brake lights weren't working, which was obviously bad.
But the right turn signal was working.
Yeah, that's true. And they all worked fine when it wasn't connected to the RV. So I took the cable apart, and one of these little tiny screws had fallen out and was shorting against some of the other pins. So that's my theory as to what I replaced the screw. So I'm hopeful that that was our problem, and now the brake lights and the turn signal will work correctly. I just connected it a minute ago and it was working, but as you know, it was sort of intermittent. I think when the screw was
Gotcha. Always something, isn't
falling. Yeah. So that's it for today. I hope that's my only
it? The issue.
repair job I have to do.
Okay, so yeah, vibrations fun on the road.
Yeah, yeah.
The second thing that we wanted to talk about is our Weboost, which allows us to have a little better signal. But I want Doug to explain, like, tell them what is a Weboost.
Okay, well, Weboost basically amplifies both a cell signal and a cell data signal. So we were in a couple different campgrounds this trip where we had very limited, well, the Wi-Fi for the campground was virtually useless. And for Verizon, we didn't have much of a signal at all. We did have a tiny bit of signal. The speeds were like, less than 1 megabit down. So we turned on the Weboost and it worked. What it does is there's an external antenna that's mounted on top of the ladder on the RV. Then there is the main Weboost unit, so the external antenna picks up the weak signal and the Weboost amplifies the signal. Then there's a third piece of it that's internal to the RV, inside the RV, and we'll show you a picture of that. And this device then takes that amplified signal and broadcasts it throughout the RV. So the signal is actually usable. We were able to get better speeds, not great speeds, about 5 to 10 megabits down, and we were able to, stream YouTube. And also Hulu videos. So we saved the night by the Weboost. Helped us a lot.
Yeah, and basically the picture he showed you of the little unit that's on the counter, his phone would be just leaning up against that.
Yeah, that's the only downside to that little internal antenna is you do have to have your phone, basically right next to it. Or if you had another, like a Verizon hotspot, you would then set that next to the internal antenna.
And probably the better solution at this point in time would be to have one of the Starlink RV, if you're going to be more than in the RV, probably a little bit more than what we are. And I know you can turn those subscriptions on and off, but that's something we'll look into at some point. But right now,
we are considering that.
The Weboost does what we need it to do when we need it to do it. So
so far.
Yeah. And then the third thing, we actually purchased this little gadget before this particular trip because someone we saw a situation where this came in handy. But I wanted you to explain what this particular box does, and you've literally used it 3 times on this trip already.
So basically it's an air compressor. So we've used it to top off both the RV tires on 2 occasions and the mini tire once. And it's also a jump box. So we were at a campground the other day. A guy came up to ask me, hey, do you have any jumper cables? Well, no, I said, no, I don't have any jumper cables, but I do have this jump box that I've never used, so we gave it a try. And his truck wouldn't start at all. We connected it, and it started on the first turn, so it worked really well. And
these are pretty handy to have, and it's actually small enough that we'll carry it around when we're not in the RV with just the car. We actually keep it with us now at all times because we've had issues with tires all over the place, so it's good to have. So those were our gotchas and learnings for this time, and we appreciate you hanging in. We know this is a little bit longer video. Was a lot to cover this time, so.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around, and please, make some comments, like the video if you liked it, and subscribe.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.